Hyundai's small Kona crossover is getting a big makeover. Striking design and a slew of powertrains will put heat on the upcoming Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid. Over at the Hyundai newsroom, all new Kona gets bolder, more dynamic EV-led design with unique styling across a range of powertrains. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Kirk. I talk about Hyundai quite often on the channel. If you're into that, subscribe and make sure you're tuned in because I will be covering this Kona as we get more information in the coming months. So this is just the initial design B&Ts. We don't have full details on everything, but let's get into what we do know thanks to this press release. There are 4 variants. There's an EV, so the EV is coming back. We're getting an ICE or traditional, just gasoline model. A hybrid model, that's going to be putting heat on the Corolla Cross. And we're also getting the reprise of the inline variant as well. Make sure to watch my driving impressions of the EV and the inline and the full-blown Kona N. No mention of the Kona N here. Doesn't mean it's not coming back. I mean, probably not looking good. I know that there will be another Elantra N, so maybe they bring another Kona N with this new styling. So the new styling is through the roof. But one of the things that kind of held back the Kona was its materials. It's kind of cheap on the inside, and it's also very tight in the back seat. That back seat is just terrible if you're an adult, essentially. So we have better living space on the interior. The vehicle has grown to 4,355 millimeters in length, which is 150 millimeters longer from the previous gen, and it has gained 25 millimeters in width and 60 millimeters in wheelbase. So each of these Konas have been derived from the base model, which is not the gasoline model. They're calling the base model, not necessarily in base and price, but the heart of the Kona lineup is now the Kona EV. So the EV is number 1 and everything spins off of there. So if we look at the front end, we have a unique LED pattern here on the Kona Electric. And we have all these squares that are essentially brought over from the Ioniq lineup. The Ioniq 5 is full of these little squares, and we have those little squares on the LED strip here. If we look at the gasoline/hybrid model, I think these are probably going to look very similar. There might be some small differences, but they're really only showing 3 major front ends here. So this is probably going to be on the gasoline and hybrid end with the strong line all the way across. Now, it looks like the nighttime lights are down here and possibly blinkers, but it's possible that the blinkers could be integrated into the top light as well. And then looking at the inline here, this is definitely the most aggressive front end, but to be honest, it's my least favorite front end of the 3 new designs up front. So we have a lot of extra black plastic on here to make it, I guess, more sporty looking. I'm not digging it. What I am digging is check out these square LED taillights running across the back here. I love the simple Kona written here underneath the Hyundai badge. Looks great on this electric model. And of course, we have some squares down here. This could be just reflectors because I would assume this is going to be your blinkers as well as your taillights. So pretty darn neat back end as well. It looks like a shrunken down Tucson or a dropped Tucson. It looks really aggressive from the side, but I'm getting some like Elantra vibes on the side. Has just a couple lines where I feel like the Tucson is a little over designed on the side. So this is looking great so far. Front end looks pretty good. And they have carried over the Kona kind of cheesy black plastic fenders here, but at least they've kind of done something unique here and integrated it into the headlights here. But let's talk about the interior. The Kona interior currently is cheap, very plasticky, hard touch pretty much everywhere. What we have here is a quantum leap. This is essentially a shrunken down interior from the Ioniq 5, and I absolutely adore the Ioniq 5's interior. It's probably my favorite interior for an EV. That's not super expensive. Anyways, so let's get into the back seat because the back seat looks like we have a lot more space. I love the unique squares into the seats here, the vertical line as well. This quality material looks night and day versus the outgoing Kona. The front seat though, now we don't have a power front seat here. They still have to make it to a certain price point, right, within this segment. We have ambient amber lighting. I would assume that this is customizable. And I like the digital display here on the top. Probably dual 10-inch screens for a vehicle of this size, but they could, I mean, maybe they put in 12-inch. I just don't see it happening. It's hard to see what's going on with the middle of the steering wheel. It could be the squares like we see in the Ioniq model, for example, or it could say Kona, something like that. Now, the drive stock is on the steering column, kind of like it is on the Ioniq 5. We also have the regen paddle shifters here. A couple USB-Cs, you're going to have drive mode select down here, heated and ventilated seat buttons, and heated steering wheel buttons down here. Pretty basic climate control, but very straightforward. You have fan control in the middle, temperature control on the outside, defrost, AC, etc., recirculation. And I like that we have a volume and a tuning knob still for the sound system. So overall, the interior is a massive upgrade. This is probably our best look of the design from the side, and it looks way more premium than the current Kona. This thing looks insane. If it has the same dimensions when it comes to market, I really hope it does. I know what we're looking at is kind of like artist renders and drawings of the Kona, but this is official here. These, well, maybe not the colors, but the design here is official on the Kona that you see here. So inline, you get the inline badge, and the basic Kona as well as the hybrid Kona kind of look the same from my understanding. Of course, the Kona electric there as well. The Kona on his surfboard, right? That makes sense with its name, and some more sketches here. And I like this tattoo, like taking inspiration from Pacific Islanders, right? I think that looks pretty sweet. What do you guys think? Another look at the interior. I don't think we got a look at these cup holders that are retractable with like kind of spring loaded, but everything in here looks kind of the same. It looks like instead of the 4 squares of the Ioniq, we have like a rounded situation going here. It'd be fine if it was just, I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. We're going to keep moving. I like the the surfer in the background in the sunset. He's like, thumbs up, dude, cool Kona. Now I like this image because it says that everything is kind of tilted towards the driver. So this infotainment, as well as the climate control, the radio, etc., is all tilted towards the driver, which a lot of manufacturers just don't do a very good job at doing. So like that's very driver focused. It's going to make my experience in here a little bit better. This is a sick looking Kona here. Of course, we're not going to have these big beefy off-road tires on it, but it looks really cool. What do you guys think? I'll see down below. There's the back end of what would be like a Kona in or inline, but I wouldn't leave you guys without talking about powertrains. This is going to be super exciting for the entire, like, not only for Hyundai, but just to even bring more competition to the subcompact crossover market. So we have the Corolla Cross, has been on the market for about a year now. We have the Corolla Cross Hybrid that is continually delayed. We don't know really when this vehicle is coming out, but we know that the new Prius is getting this engine and all-wheel drive setup, and it has up to 196 horsepower. So I'm expecting maybe 40 miles per gallon on the Corolla Cross Hybrid, and we know that the Prius can get up to 57 miles per gallon with that 2-liter setup. So the 0 to 60 on this is a big step forward in performance while still maintaining efficiency. And so what is the Kona bringing? Well, the Kona is bringing performance. You can still get the Kona inline. I'm assuming they're just going to port over the 1.6 turbo with the 7-speed DCT with 195 horsepower. Watch my review on it. 32-ish miles per gallon and 7.3 seconds to 60. Now, the next two powertrains are kind of shared with the Kia Niro. So the Kia Niro has a hybrid standard. I see a lot of them, the new models down here in Florida. I'm seeing them quite often, which has a 1.6 liter turbo, 6-speed DCT, 139 horsepower. I'm not quite sure on the miles per gallon when we get it in the Kona, but we know the Niro gets up to like 53. I would assume that the Kona is going to get quite a bit less than that, but it could very well beat out the Corolla Cross Hybrid miles per gallon, but definitely stay tuned. But 0 to 60 won't be quite as fast in theory, maybe as Corolla Cross, but pretty darn close. Now, this is on the Niro Hybrid, so maybe the 0 to 60 might not be as quick as the Kona Hybrid would be, but this thing is going to be very, very tempting for the market. Niro EV and the Kona EV are pretty much like unobtainium for most of the United States. Does 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds. This thing was a hoot driving around downtown Miami. I got a chance to drive the current Kona EV. Super fast, so much torque, 291 pound-feet of torque, I believe. And this thing is quick. 250 miles of range plus is a possibility. We also have the Kia Seltos, has 2 engine options like the ICE Kona. The Kona will have the 2-liter. I'm not even mentioning that because I think the most interesting thing is that hybrid, because we're talking about Corolla Cross Hybrid and the Kia Niro sharing with the Kona Hybrid. We also have the Mazda CX-30, 2 engine options with the fastest 0 to 60 here with that 2.5 liter turbo, biggest engine. Nissan Kicks ECVT. I didn't even put the inline four in here, but it is an inline four. We also have the Honda HR-V, one of probably the slowest vehicle on the list, but it has a very nice interior. And we have the Subaru Crosstrek with a couple engine options as well. So, man, with all these great selections, which model would you be interested in? Are you like sold on the new Hyundai Kona design? And man, I'm really excited for the hybrid. I really want to test out the hybrid and compare it to the Corolla Cross hybrid. So anyways, I'm going to there. Thank you guys. Have a great holiday season. If you enjoyed it, smash the like button. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.